Hey guys, this is Deanna.
Hey, classmates, this is Brett, and welcome back to episode 50 of Hard Lessons True Crime Podcast.
50. We
50.
should throw in a 50th birthday party.
Yes, that we're recording and you think about it, it's almost reached us in age.
Almost. It will outage us.
I'm hoping.
Maybe we could pass it on to somebody.
That'd be cool.
We could will it to somebody.
Leave it in the will.
Mm-hmm.
I bequeath to.
Yup.
So, Teach, how was your week?
Um. It was good. It was good. I never have a whole lot to say, but
Yeah.
it's been a stressful couple of weeks. The good news is I finished my
Semester.
I finished out my semester of classes, and with an A 4.0.
It's my girl.
Yes. And I have 2 classes left, and I file for graduation on the 16th of January.
Yay.
File for, that is weird. Apply. Because they got to make sure that I've got all my credits. Yeah.
Well, that is exciting.
It is very exciting. It's been a long year. It's been over a year since I started, so.
Yeah. You've put in the work. You deserve everything you're getting.
Thank you.
So,
how about your week?
My week has been good. Off on vacation, mandatory vacation, use it or lose it. So that's always good.
I could use some vacation.
Right. Yeah, I think you deserve that. Yesterday, turned in our paperwork and paid our fee to be part of the Boomtown Comic Con.
That's going to be kind of cool. Are they going to have shirts made that says that?
They are, and they told me the link. And Greg and Christy, if y'all are listening, if you could message me the link again because I forgot it. But Greg had one of them on yesterday when I was at their house, and they are very cool looking.
They're not black, are they?
The one he had on was. I'm sure you can get other colors, because they went through a T-shirt distributing company, like T Public or something like that.
Okay. Well, I hope that they have more options than just black.
It was a very cool looking shirt.
This is going to be a big. How many people do they have ready to go?
I don't know. I didn't ask them that, but they're excited about. They're already making plans for 2026.
You have plans for 2026 for somebody to go.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. Yeah. Working on it.
That will be cool.
That will be cool. So, Boomtown Comic Con, we will be there March 2025.
March. I almost said February. What day in March is this happening?
22nd. It's near the end.
The 22nd. Do we have this anywhere on the calendar?
It's in the steel trap.
Do you have it in your calendar on your phone?
No, but I will as soon as we get through recording.
Okay. Because I won't remember. Now, it'll be March, and it'll be like, we have what going on?
It seems like there's something we got to do this month.
Exactly. Besides spring break. Big plans spring break, too.
Big plans for spring break. I'm excited.
Me too.
So you ready for the more you... I'm excited about the more you know this week.
You have been hinting, and I'm not good at hints, so please tell.
All right.
This better be one for the books, too.
I'm excited about it.
Okay.
Judith Love Cohen, 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 was an aerospace engineer with NASA.
Ooh.
One of the few women that attained that title.
Okay, what year? Okay, I'm sorry.
She was at work when she went into labor one day.
Whoa.
And she was working on something extremely important.
Oh my gosh, she was like 9 months.
Yeah.
Apparently popping.
She was working on the abort guidance system to return Apollo 13 home safely.
What?
That's how high of a level this lady had. She was working on important things.
So this is the Hidden Figures lady?
Mm-mm.
Why isn't she in there?
Anyhow.
Sorry, I'm just like, this is important.
So she goes into labor.
Okay.
And thinks, well, I could be in the hospital for a while. So she prints out the schematic and takes it with her to the hospital.
Okay.
A couple hours later, she calls her boss and says, hey, I figured out a solution to the problem that we're having. Oh, also, I gave birth to a son. Now, I'm not sure of his real name, but the whole world knows her son as actor Jack Black.
No way.
True story.
What?
Yep. It has been verified by the fact checking website Snopes.com.
Like,
Teacher's mind blown.
I'm like trying to put the timeline together because this is not Hidden Figures at all, but yet it's still related.
I don't think the Hidden Figures lady worked on Apollo 13.
No, they were before.
Yeah.
But still, it's all NASA, and to me, everything is all the same.
Everything's the same.
But that's cool. Like,
So,
she was one strong lady.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, oh, by the way, I gave birth. May not be into work tomorrow, but here is how we can get them home.
Safely.
This is so cool. Now I want to watch Apollo 13.
I told you this was going to be one of the best, the more you knows.
Oh my gosh, yes. I won't remember it, but
Jack Black's mom. She was also a ballerina.
that's probably why she was just popped him right on out.
Right.
Said, okay, can I go back to work now? Oh my.
All right.
Let's see what she looks like.
I'll show you a picture here. You ready? Ready to get started?
All right, squirrel.
He wasn't part of the more you know, so I'm not sure.
No.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm ready. I'm sorry.
You're good.
Class is. I forgot.
If it does seem like we're a little bit disheveled, and we got dogs barking in the background, we are recording this on Wednesday night, the night before Halloween, because the story actually took place right around Halloween, not too far from us.
Yeah, spooky.
And so we decided, hey, let's wait, record, edit, and all that, and then publish it on Halloween. So we're not used to recording this late at night or this time of this day of the week. So it's it's got us a little bit throwed.
We got 30 minutes and it's my bedtime. So
you better get started. Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see where to start.
Right at the beginning. So don't skip because I'll get confused.
October 31st, 1981.
1981. I think I lived in Phillips, Texas in 1981.
This takes place in Amarillo, Texas.
Ooh.
Thousands of kids are dressed as goblins, witches, and other various characters.
Yes.
Out looking to have a good time. Fun was had all over the city.
With their big pillowcases full of candy.
Yeah. But the next morning, several nuns at the St. Francis Convent noticed that Sister Tadea Benz was not at the 6:30 Mass.
Ooh.
Which was unusual for her. Being 76 years old, she had been in the nunnery. I'm not sure if that's the right term.
Yeah, I don't think that's the right term.
She had been nunning for...
I don't think that's the right term.
She had been in that position for 40 plus years.
There you go. She was a servant.
She was a servant. And so they got to thinking, well, this is unusual.
Well, she is 70-something.
So they go ahead and they have their morning mass. And one of the younger nuns says, well, I'll go check on her. As she's approaching Sister Ben's room, she notices something else odd. Sister Ben's door was shut. At night, she would leave her door open because she was hard of hearing. So if anybody needed her during the night, or to be able, like they had like out in the hallway, like I'm picturing in my mind like a school bell that would go off to wake them all up for mass.
Okay, that would be odd. That would be like, okay, so this is um not at a house or anywhere else. This is right there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's indoors.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is weird.
So the sister goes and opens her room, and Sister Ben's was found on her floor. She was nude, and her arms were out to her side.
Like an airplane out?
Right. Yes, ma'am.
Almost like a cross.
Almost like a cross. Their first thought was that she possibly had had a heart attack while getting ready for bed. And so to protect her dignity, they covered her up with a sheet.
Well, yes.
And called a local funeral home that they had used in the past to come remove her body.
When they need to call the police?
Well, I mean, she's old.
Yeah, but it's not normal to walk into somebody's room and they're naked on the floor, apparently dead.
Well, we think that nowadays, but back in the 80s, at the convent, they probably didn't watch a whole lot of true crime.
No, but it's common sense. Like, uh-oh.
Right.
Something's awry.
About an hour later, another sister was outside walking around, doing her meditation or whatever they do.
Could be gardening.
And noticed that a window screen had been cut and that a window was pried open.
At the sister's room?
No, because it was on the second floor.
Oh, okay.
So,
Unless it was Spider-Man.
Right. So this time they do call the police about the window. APD arrived. Amarillo Police Department arrived shortly before 9 in the morning to start their investigation on the window screen. While they're there, they overhear them talking about Sister Ben's. Mm-hmm. And just a little background. I love her name, Tadea, Tadea Benz.
Tadea. Oh, that is cute.
She was from Switzerland, and like I said, had been a nun for 40 plus years at the time of her death. So while on scene, the Amarillo Police Department overhear other nuns talking about Sister Ben's death, and they're like, "Excuse me, what? Y'all had a nun pass away?" Oh yeah, during the night last night. We just assumed that it was heart
attack,
natural causes. So the funeral home's already come and picked her up. You need to always call us. Let us do the investigation. Blah blah blah. Make sure it was a heart attack. I mean, it could be related to the screen being cut. Oh, we didn't think about that. Blah blah blah. So the officer's like, okay, well, we need to see her room. Also,
they didn't think to call the funeral home. Don't do nothing with the body.
Well, yeah. They tell her we need to see her room, and they send other officers to the funeral home.
Oh, okay, good.
Unfortunately, the sisters had already cleaned Sister Ben's room, thinking that it was natural causes, and so there was very little evidence. Also, at the funeral home, they had already cleaned Sister Ben's body.
Of course.
And started the embalming process before they got there. Mm-hmm. They were able to stop, and they removed Sister Ben's body, and it was taken to the newly hired medical examiner, Dr. Ralph Erdman. There'll be more on him later.
Okay.
Back at the convent, officers went ahead and searched her room, thinking, well, maybe there's something that we could find in here. Underneath her bed, they found two items that they felt was suspicious. A knife and a men's white t-shirt, similar to like what I wear, an undershirt.
That it would be extremely odd considering her job profession or her service.
Yes, ma'am.
No, I don't know how to say that. I don't make it sound terrible, but right. I mean, it's just, that's not normal.
That's not normal. That is not. Also not normal is that they found small, black, curly hairs that did not match the gray-headed Sister Ben's.
On the shirt?
Just on the floor. Yeah, so they didn't vacuum it very well.
Like the top of your head hair type curly?
I'm not thinking so. Other curlies.
Oh, gross. This dude was a shedder.
Dr. Erdman found stab wounds, internal and external injuries, but stated that the cause of death was strangulation. Also, and I probably should have given a content warning at the beginning.
A trigger warning or anything?
Mm-hmm. So if you need to scoot ahead about 15 seconds, go right ahead and I'll get this out real quick. She had been sexually assaulted and also assaulted with what appeared to be a knife in the vagina area.
Poor lady.
Yeah. Now, just a few months before the murder of Sister Benz, Amarillo Police was working another murder in the 700 block of North Houston. That was the murder of 77-year-old Narnie Cox Bryson. Now, just like Sister Benz, Narnie was found nude and had been sexually assaulted and also died of strangulation.
Okay, so a 76-year-old and a
77-year-old.
Somebody is targeting older women.
Yes, ma'am. Also found and close to Narnie's body, a men's white undershirt.
Any curly hairs?
None of that was found. Narnie's case was eventually solved.
Eventually.
In 2005.
But it was solved. Okay.
Thanks to DNA testing. There was a sheet on her bed that had blood on it that they knew wasn't Narnie's, but they didn't have DNA testing back in the early 80s.
Well, thank goodness they saved it.
But thankfully they saved it. And in 2005, the Amarillo Cold Case Unit sent it in, and it came back to DNA came back belonging to 55-year-old Leoncio Perez Rueda.
Okay.
He was a former Cuban refugee. He pled guilty and was sentenced to 45 years in prison.
Okay, so this is the first murder that happened.
Yes, July of 81.
And they found that guy X amount of years later.
24 years later.
So he was a young man when he did this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He had also, how they had his DNA, he had been in prison in New Mexico for sexual assault.
Okay, so is he tied to the sisters?
We'll get there.
Okay, because I'm like trying to connect the dots.
Right. So with the small amount of evidence that they were able to collect out of Sister Benz's room, APD collects it and takes it back to the department. They found fingerprints on the knife. And so they pulled them and matched them with fingerprints that they had there on file at the police department.
Okay.
A match was made, and on November 9th, 1981, 17-year-old Johnny Frank Garrett was arrested for the murder of Sister Benz.
So 2 totally separate cases.
Or was it? Let's get into it.
Holy cow.
This is the story of Johnny Frank Garrett's last words.
This reminds me of the movie Frighteners and that dude, the whatever.
Mm-hmm. The police department had Johnny's fingerprints from previous arrests for theft and criminal mischief. That's how they were able to match him up. Now, you might be saying, why was a Cuban refugee in Amarillo? Well, in the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, Fidel Castro had opened up the borders of Cuba and said, if you want to leave, leave. And so several did. I mean, he'd do it sporadically.
Yeah.
Not just from the 70s into the 80s, but
right. No,
open them, close them, open them, close them. And Amarillo was one of the sanctuary cities.
I vaguely remember this.
I vaguely did too. But immediately crime rates went up.
Well, yeah. People that were so terrorized and closed up, or however you want to say it, are out free.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't got nothing. They're just going to take it.
Exactly.
They're going to take it.
Now, a security guard who was on patrol the night of Sister Ben's murder told police that he spotted a man hiding in the bushes around the convent. The security guard got close enough to this individual to say without a doubt it was a Cuban man. But as he got closer, the man ran off and the guard lost him.
Okay, I'm confused.
Okay.
So the Cuban dude who killed the first lady,
Narni,
was seen at the convent.
a Cuban dude was seen at the convent.
Cuban dude. I'm like, fire that freaking security guard, because did he call the police?
Not that night, because the guy ran off.
But
after the murder, he did say, "Hey, there was this guy," and the police pretty much just kind of blew it off because they had Johnny Frank Garrett in jail for the murder.
Because Johnny Frank's fingerprints was on the knife that was under the bed.
Right. And they found his fingerprints in other areas of Sister Ben's bedroom also.
Okay.
So August and September of 1982, Johnny goes on trial for the murder. The bishop of the convent testified, of course, Johnny's fingerprints would be all over the church. He was there just about every day. He marveled at the art work.
For how long was he there? Like just for a couple of months, and he would come in every day, or?
Well, that wasn't never said. So
okay.
But that he marveled at the art. He and even helped out by moving furniture. And they said, "Well, why would his bedroom, his fingerprints be in the bedroom of Sister Ben's?" He said his fingerprints are probably in every one of the sisters' bedrooms. They all just got new bedroom furniture, and Johnny helped move it in and set it up.
Okay.
And all, but they keep going back to the knife that was found under the bed. Mm-hmm. And then they showed a picture of the knife that was found under the bed that had some type of something on it. Like some type of material.
A material over the blade?
Over the blade area. So the knife in question turned out to be a bent butter knife. The material that was on the blade of the knife was dried mustard. And when they asked Johnny about that and why his fingerprints would be on that, he said because the nuns had just all got new TVs for their bedrooms, and I used that knife to slice the window screen. Remember the window screen that was sliced? And
he's not helping his case.
It's bent because I used it to pry the window open.
Hey, how does that happen to be for a TV?
That's how he made entrance, and his whole idea of being there that night was to steal the TV, steal TV or two.
So the knife.
And he said, I must have just dropped it.
But it has mustard on it.
He had made himself a sandwich also.
That freaking night?
I guess. He just said, I made myself a sandwich.
Be like, moron?
I mean, he could have done that at his house before leaving to go out to steal this stuff.
God.
So Johnny had a rough childhood. It came out in court. He was introduced to alcohol and other drugs at the tender age of 10 years old. And another warning here, y'all may want to scoot on past for about a minute or so because it's about to get rough. Johnny was repeatedly raped by his stepfather. Same stepfather sold Johnny to various men for sexual purposes. He was also forced to perform bizarre sexual acts and be in homosexual pornographic films starting at the age of 14. When he was when he would try to fight back or say, no, I don't want to do this, blah, 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 stepfather would turn the gas stove on and hold his hand over on top of the burner to the point where he had burn scars on his hands.
Where's the mom?
At work. I mean, she loved her son.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. However, the judge would not allow any of the abuse to be brought up for the jury to hear during court. And Johnny was found guilty and sentenced to death. Pope John Paul II sent an appeal to then Governor Ann Richards to help save the young man, which all she did was grant a 30-day reprieve. All appeals were exhausted, and on February 11th, 1992, Johnny was executed at the young age of 28. For his last meal, Johnny chose ice cream. And for his last words, I'd like to thank my family for loving me and taking care of me. And the rest of the world can just kiss my ass, because I'm innocent. Now, I told you to remember the name Dr. Ralph Erdman. In 1994, so 2 years after Johnny was executed, Dr. Ralph Erdman, the medical examiner, was brought up on corruption charges. Things started falling apart in 1991 when the family of Robert Newman began questioning the findings of the autopsy. Erdman determined that Newman died of cocaine poisoning. Newman's family said that is impossible. He did not do drugs. When asked about his reasoning, Dr. Erdman said that I came to that conclusion because of the weight of his spleen and gallbladder. There was only one issue with this. Years before his death, Mr. Newman had to have his spleen and gallbladder removed.
Huh.
And
wow.
So the family paid to have Mr. Newman exhumed and for a new autopsy to be done. And it was at that moment in time where they discovered that Erdman had never done an autopsy. The body had never been autopsied.
So he was just faking paperwork. He was just making up stuff.
And Mr. Newman did die of a heart attack. A couple of other examples of stuff that he did wrong. In another case, tissues of a 72-year-old male murder victim was requested by APD, Amarillo Police Department. Turns out that the tissues that Dr. Erdman sent was that of a 29-year-old male.
How many people went to prison because of this man?
Thousands. I don't know, thousands. Erdman once autopsied the body of infant Anthony Cullifer from Tulia. Erdman determined that the baby died of pneumonia, but it was later discovered that the baby was actually murdered by the mother's boyfriend, David Johnson. And this one blows my mind more than any other. Dr. Erdman once lost an entire human head.
How do you lose a human head?
He had no answer for it.
I want to know how he got caught.
By the Mr. Newman's family.
So that boy,
Johnny Frank. Yeah, because there was items from the autopsy that was requested 2 days after Johnny Frank was arrested, that Dr. Erdman said, "Oh, well, I was told they didn't need that anymore, so I threw it away." We never get rid of evidence, even if we got somebody in jail, because they got to go through the trial. Oh, well, I threw it away already.
So he died?
And he spent over 12 years in prison and shouldn't have, possibly. So what happened to Erdman? He was indicted on February 26th. Well, I wrote down 1992, but this wasn't brought up till 1994, so I'll need to check on that. On charges that included theft by a public servant and tampering with government records. He was given 10 years probation, ordered to do 200 hours of community service, and pay over $17,000 in restitution. Most of that to Mr. Newman's family for the cost of the exhumation and the autopsy, and surrender his medical license.
So basically a slap on the hand for destroying people's lives.
Exactly. All those years that... Yes, ma'am.
So they never really reinvestigated to make sure that Garrett did, in fact, kill this nun.
It's still being looked into, but not as deep.
So no, not really looking into it.
The name Jesse Quackenbush ring a bell to you?
Yeah.
an attorney in Amarillo.
What year was that?
Just recently, like last year. He is filing a wrongful death lawsuit against the state of Texas, against the city of Amarillo, on behalf of Johnny Frank Garrett's family. And some inmates of the Cuban man that was arrested for said that he has often bragged about getting away with the murder of a nun. Whether that's true or not, you can't really trust fellow inmates.
But why would you brag about it?
To develop clout. I got 2 murders, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, so what happened to the sorry piece of stepfather?
Nothing was ever said about him. I'm hoping he's stumping his toe every day. I'm hoping he's got diarrhea every day, but also IBS. And that is the story of Johnny Frank Garrett. There is a major motion movie about him that is on Prime Network, or it was on Prime Network. It is a little bit on the cheesy side, but if you want to watch it, it's called The Last Words of Johnny Frank Garrett. My bibliography for this week is vocal.media. Did Texas execute an innocent man? Murderpedia.com for Johnny Frank Garrett. MyPlainview.com. Man pleads guilty, gets 45 years for 1981 Amarillo murder. And TheBullAmarillo.com. Ralph Erdman, unraveling the troubled legacy of botched autopsies in Texas. And that is the story of Johnny Frank Garrett. Classmates teach is a little bit emotional right now. Y'all know her being a teacher. She has a soft spot for teenagers. And so I'm not even going to ask her for a grade this week. We hope that y'all have a good week. I'm going to draw for what case I'll be covering next week. Okay, and next week will be a host choice. So we'll do something a little bit lighter. And we will see you then. Y'all have a safe Halloween. Get lots of candy. If you get too much, you could always share with me. Especially those. I know a lot of people don't like them, but those like peanut butter toffee that comes in the orange and the black wrappers.
I love those.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I have to say, I mean, it's a very good report.
Thank you, Teach.
I still a little bit confused about the whole how did the Cuban dude get involved?
Well,
to me that was like a.
And one thing that I didn't really explain, the convent and the house where Narnie lived and was found were like 3 blocks apart.
Okay. So there really was no connection.
Not really. I mean, they Narnie and Sister Benz knew each other just through charity work and stuff like that.
So was this case brought up with Garrett? because they thought there was a connection.
Right. Well, yeah, because, before they even had Garrett arrested, they thought it was connected. But then they found the knife, the butter knife, that I've never in the history of time ever heard of anybody being murdered by a butter knife. But, so, yeah, they thought it was connected. No, no. It sounded like he was a young man looking to be accepted, looking to be welcome. And it sounds like the father and the nuns welcomed him. You know,
He just wanted to steal the TV.
he just wanted to steal the TV and the cross. And I didn't put this in there, but they asked him, well, why would you steal a cross for? Gives me hope. Classmates, we appreciate you all hanging out with us. We will be back next week with a host choice. And remember, love the people around you. Class is dismissed.